greatest live stream you are currently watching. Hope everyone is having a fine Friday evening. And sorry I'm a few minutes late. I got tied up doing something. But here I am, and here I shall remain for at least the next hour or so. So it looks like Grand is already in the chat. Good to see you, brother. Good greatest live stream you are currently watching. Make sure the sound is okay. Hope everyone is having a fine Friday evening. And sorry I'm a few minutes late. I got tied up doing something. But here I am, and here I shall remain for at least the next hour or so. So it looks like Grand is already in the chat. Good to see you, brother. Good greatest live stream you are currently watching. Make sure the sound is okay. Hope everyone's having a fine Friday evening. And sorry I'm a few minutes late. I got tied up doing something. But here I am, and here I shall remain. Let's try that. Okay, so why is the mic so low? That's Matt. Okay, 1, 2. Let's see. I'm getting good action, sort of. Here. Let me see. One more thing here. Okay, 1, 2. Let's see. I'm getting good action, sort of. Here. Let me see. One more thing here. Okay. 1, 2. Let's see. I'm getting good action, sort of. Here. I think this thing would be set up just to capture. One more thing here. Okay. 1, 2. Let's see. I'm getting good action, sort of. Here. I think this thing would be set up just to capture. One more thing here. Okay. Let's see. Why is that reading out so good? 1, 2. I'm getting good action, sort of. What is missing? I think this thing would be set up just to capture. One more thing. Reading. Okay. Let's see. reseeding here. Okay, now is it working? We are reseeding here. Okay, now is it working? Okay, so we are reseeding here. Okay, let's hope this works. Okay, are we on again? Let's see here. Now is it working? Okay, so we are reseeding here. Okay, let's hope this works. Okay, are we on again? Let's see here. I don't know what's going on here, man. Let's see, there's one other thing I can try. Okay, let's hope this works. Okay, are we on again? Let's see here. I don't know what's going on here, man. Let's see, there's one other thing I can try. So there's the desktop audio. Where's the mic? Okay, let's hope this works. Good. I have no idea what's going on. Let's see here. I don't know what's going on here, man. Let's see, there's one other thing I can try. So there's the desktop audio. Where's the mic? I have no idea what's going on. Let's see here. I don't know what's going on here, man. Let's see, there's one other thing I can try. So there's the desktop audio. Where's the mic? I have no idea what's going on. Let's see here. I don't know what's going on here, man. Okay, how are we looking now? Let's see, there's one other thing I can try. So there's the desktop audio. Where's the mic? I have no idea what's going on. Let's see here. I don't know what's going on here, man. Okay, how are we looking now? It's like super low. I don't know what's going on with this. Okay, how are we looking now? It's like super low. I don't know what's going on. It's trying. I mean, it's really trying, but I'm getting very, very little. Okay. That. Okay, how are we looking now? It's like super low. I don't know what's going on. It's trying. I mean, it's really trying, but I'm getting very, very little. That. I don't know what's going on, guys. I'm sorry. I didn't change anything. Okay. That. Okay. Maybe default this? Let's see what the default does. It's trying. I mean, it's really trying, but I don't know. It's getting barely moving the needle here. I don't know what's going on, guys. I'm sorry. Now I got the robot voice. I didn't change anything. Okay. reboot this thing one more time. I hope that fixes it, but I really don't know what's going on here. Let me default this. Let's see what the default does. It's trying. I mean, it's really trying, but I don't know. Okay, I'm going to monitor feedback here. Hey, I think we got audio. Okay, I had to completely switch mics. Interesting. My goodness, I don't know what that was all about. And right now I have my Yetis on a boom. I don't know what. Sorry, I have no idea what that was all about. But I guess we're up. So it's gonna look kind of funny. I guess I want to move some stuff around on the UI here. I wonder if I could switch the image just right here. Let's see if I can. I'm gonna try to make it so the. Can we go back to making noise? Yeah, sorry. I know that was so. I don't know what's going on because I didn't make any changes, and I was running through the Stream Deck, and on the Stream Deck you can see the volume and all that, and it has a little meter, and it was working fine, and I could hear just a tiny bit of voice. So I don't. Maybe the computer needs a reboot. I don't know. There's no time to do it now, but I wonder if this lets you. You know what? I'm going to do something a little different right now because just because of mitigating circumstances here. So let me switch over, and then we'll get this ball rolling, if possible. Hope everyone is having a lovely evening, except for all of this nonsense. And then, whoops, I didn't want to do that. I need this. There we go. You go up here to the good ship Lollipop. I will go over here like I'm just growing out of the corner organically because of the microphone. And I think we're good now. All right, Trinity, what's going on? Grand, good to see you. Patrick, good to see you. Kaz, always a pleasure. Mr. Matt Woods, thank you for hanging around. So sorry about that. That was so strange, man. I don't know what. Like I said, I don't touch this thing except for on Fridays, and everything was plugged in like normal. All the settings were the same. It just wasn't having it, whatever was going on. So I didn't have time to fully troubleshoot it, and I'll do that maybe after the stream, but that was interesting. So I do apologize. Use the Deep Space Nine. I had to pull it ahead of time. This is just actually stock footage I had on the computer, so or I would use the Deep Space Nine, but very strange. Well, you know, life's about working through adversity. So here we are. Hope everyone is having a great weekend. I was watching your acoustic unboxing, 5 years old, I think. No, it was just recorded yesterday. But let's see. But anyway, yes, hope everyone is having a great Friday. And I actually had a possible subject to talk about for a change, but it's funny because I sent myself a hyperlink. I was going to talk about it last week, and because I didn't do the stream last week, so I never got around to it. Now the hyperlink no longer works. I guess they pulled it. They are back on the Doomsday Clock scenarios again. They just love pushing that stuff. And I was going to talk a little bit about fear and the lack thereof and living without it. It's kind of a fascinating principle that they put upon us, and this constant fear that we are supposed to live in. So it's been interesting. That's what happens when you buy secondhand from Quark. I know, right? Buy bad, faulty equipment. Too many. Was it he always sold? It was the self-sealing stem bolts. That was what he's always trying to get rid of, whatever that means. I've worked on a ship out at sea for over a year. I would have loved to have a bridge as big as Enterprise's. Well, you got that right. Compared to hot swapping bunks and cramped crew quarters and all that, And let me tell you something else. You hadn't lived till you slept in a 60-man tent for a couple of days out in the summer heat. Talk about a smell that hits you like a fist. But yeah, I thought it was kind of funny that they already pulled the article. I think it was up on MSN like 2 weeks ago or something. But I always find it kind of humorous when I see you only have about 10 seconds left to live. We've been hearing that since the 70s, basically. It's kind of funny. So now they just creep it up in because they used to do it in 10-minute increments, back in the 50s and above or whatever. And now they had to slow it down because they realized we're going to hit midnight before they know it, right? So then they won't have anything else to try to scare us with. But there was an article, I can't remember who did it, probably about 5 years ago, and it was about kind of what's the word I'm looking for? The narrative of fear, right? And how we are all supposed to live in fear constantly. And they keep us either at odds with each other. There's governmental entities. Now they got the weather trying to kill us, right? Or the climate trying to kill us. And it's just this constant spate of fear. And it's interesting that it's our own leadership foist that sort of thing upon us. And the news has been doing this with us forever, too. And they're as doom and gloom as anybody, right? So what is it? They wonder why there's this skyrocketing depression and skyrocketing mental illness and all that. And I think a lot of it is because people live in this perpetual cycle of fear. And once you start removing yourself from it a little bit, you kind of start seeing a lot of it and how afraid people are of just about everything. And what a detriment that could be in your health, Long-term negativity usually does not lead to a good mental state, right? And your body follows the mental state. If you are not doing well in the mind, your body usually follows, So, that's, it's not a locked-in, tried-and-true 100% method to diagnose things like that. But it's kind of a funny thing. And I was thinking about that clock. And, they kind of wrap it up in the essence of time, right? We're all living in time constantly, right? We think about time all the time. And really, time is a kind of a construct that we just place on things because, it doesn't really change. The only thing it changes is our perception of it. So when we all have this internal doomsday clock that's counting down in our bodies, how are we going to behave? Let me tell you how one way we'll behave. We don't pay attention. There was a great thing. I'm sorry, let me get back to the chat here. Live every day like it's your last. That's the way to go, Kaz. But make sure to save a little something up. I had my own stateroom. The ship I worked on was actually quite comfortable looking up. U.S. Naval Ship Observation Island. Now, some of those big bulk carriers have some pretty good crew quarters, I gotta admit. Keely, what's going on? Good to have you in the chat. Hope you're enjoying. But yeah, there was it was a show I watched ages ago, back when I watched TV, and it was they did a test on somebody on the effects of cold. Basically, how you start reacting when you get cold. I think he was like a big wave surfer or something. Some guy was pretty used to being in cold water, right? He was in good physical condition, kind of a happy guy, right? And so what they did was they left him in his. I think they had him in warm clothes. They put him in like a meat freezer, really a cold, freezer kind of thing. And they had him put together like simple puzzles. And the games like where you're putting round pegs into round holes and squares into square holes and all that. Simple things and simple math, I think. And so they started him at baseline when he's pretty comfortable. And he's acing everything, right? And then they start taking clothes off of him. And he's still getting stuff done, but it's taking him a little bit longer after his body starts worrying more and more about staying warm, right? And then, it seems so cruel, but basically they stripped him down to his boxers. And then they started spraying him with water, and he just starts shaking almost uncontrollably. That's what you do. The human body sucks at keeping itself warm, by the way. We're not good at dealing with cold. And so towards the end of it, he's starting to get hypothermia, right? They're measuring his body temperature, and it's dropping, and he just can't do anything. His motor skills completely lock up, and he's not making good decisions. And, finally they had to put a stop to it and put him in a chamber to heat him back up and all that. But I thought it was really analogous to the idea of us always constantly living in fear, right? And you comic guys here that are in the chat can recognize this, right? Because, we have the fear of FOMO nowadays that keeps us awake at night. Well, not so much me because I could care less, but I think it's funny because people are posting about it a lot. Let me catch back up the chat here. Hey, when you got a job, did they give you W-4 form? If so, how? Did they simply hand it to you, mail it? It's usually W-2s, but they'll mail it to you. Some places you gotta go online and get it yourself. probably depending on your workplace. But I think technically by law, unless you opt out of it, I think they have to mail it to you unless it changes. I could be wrong there, but I'm used to the W-2 side of things, so I'm not sure if you're a independent contractor or something like that. That's a whole other can of worms, but I believe the employer has to mail it to you, if not give you the option to download it yourself. So, you gotta take those cold water dives. I know, right? Both my jobs have online versions of W-2s that blind, and they mail it to me. Yeah, I mean, they bury us in those W-2s here, so if you haven't gotten it yet, you should have, because I think it's supposed to be gotten to you by February 1st, actually, so fear and gadget. Yeah. So anyway, getting back to it, there is a couple of facets of why, ruling entities want to keep you in fear, and the main one is you don't pay attention. You're not making good decisions when you're constantly worried. You live in this. We all do it. I find myself. I don't worry much like I used to, but you find yourself worrying about things that are really inconsequential, and that's why I don't post really anymore. On social media about anything that's even remotely controversial or political and like that. You just get in these constant arguments, right? And then you live in a perpetual state of anger. So you switch between fear and anger, fear and anger, fear and anger. And those are two emotions where you make some of the worst decisions that you could possibly make. And if you stay that way, guess what? You continually make poor decisions and you pay zero attention to what is going on around you at any given time. So I don't know if what y'all's feelings on the doomsday clock is, but it was a great idea for our handlers, right, to keep us in fear. But anyway, what's y'all's take on the idea of actually living in fear, and how not only our news apparatus, but official entities try to keep us afraid at all times. So interesting. Look what happens when animals in the animal kingdoms, when things get afraid, they tend to get aggressive. They run into places they can't get out of. Like, you'll find stuff that will run into a one-way, like a thicket or something, and get burned alive, right? Because they're not thinking. They just bolt. They don't think about what they're doing. Live and stress are so much easier to deal with when you are the one that people fear. Yeah, that's true. When you're the one actually doing creating the fear, that is a little easier, right? On your outlook, study has shown that not showering leads to poor decision making. Well, yeah, because if you decide to go out in public and people got to smell you, that's pretty horrible. Now, here's another thing people might find interesting or disgusting. I think daily showers are very bad for you, and I have always been a proponent, unless you're working outside, which I don't do anymore, and sweating and getting gross and nasty every day. If you're working in an office or just going to school every day and not getting nasty, I would not shower every day. It's not good for your skin. It's not good for, the microbes that live on you that we are kind of symbiotic with. And here's something else that's kind of fun, which kind of blew my barber, whatever you want to call her. I haven't washed my hair with anything but water since 2013, about almost 10 years. It might have been 10 years at this point. Probably more like 9. And your hair is just fine. You don't need it. So a lot of what we are told we think we need to worry about, we don't actually need to worry about. And we will go on much healthier because of it. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there's the old Clint Eastwood quote. We were waiting for that one. See, second studies showing people have less friends if they don't shower often. Well, that keeps the stress away, right? Because who stresses you out more than other people? But yeah, so interesting. I don't know why that article caught me out of all the other gibberish. I barely read it. I kind of glanced through it, and it was just the same old rigmarole, some Nobel laureate or whatever, takes all this into considerations and then it lays it out. We're exactly 0.2 of a second closer than we used to be, Not gear cycling? Oh, well. Yeah, we know you're on the vitamins. Don't worry. I get dirty and sweaty a lot every day, regardless if I'm working. That's just what cycling does, Hairdresser, did he just say, yeah, I don't know why it came to me. Well, I was looking at my hair on the screen. I think it just popped in my head. P.S. She is laughing at the mule. Bicycling, live fast, fight well, and have a beautiful ending. Well, I know, it sounds like a geisha house kind of slogan, right? I think he meant Barbara. Yeah, I meant Barbara. Even though It's now a female, so I can't really call it a barber. I miss my old barber from when I was in high school and growing up. It was about an 80-year-old Italian guy. I don't think he even spoke the language. And it's like you're in a barber shop. You don't talk to each other. You just sit there and get your hair cut, Same thing as last time? Yep. All right. And I just sit there, man. I was like, all right, let's get this done. I never wanted to sit there and chit-chat with the poor barbers or stylists or hair cutter peoples or whatever. I mean, I want to give them a break, right? They got to talk and talk small talk all day long. I figure they would welcome the silence. So I just don't say anything unless they broach it, Let's see. After having a stroke at 9, I fear nothing. I mean, it gives you a taste of it, right? Like, it gives you perspective. You have unique perspective, Kaz, on what you should be afraid of, right? And the things that worry us and the years we take off our life worrying about stuff that really doesn't mean anything. After losing my wife, I fear nothing. Yeah, man, you start losing people close to you, too, and sometimes you get I don't want to say a skewed perspective, but you get this perspective of numbness, right? And that's a dangerous one, too. I mean, you can live that way, and as long as you don't do, like, kamikaze things, you know what I mean, to try to tempt fate. I mean, it's rough to lose, man. If I lost my wife, I'd be a wreck, and I don't know if it would change my outlook on fear, and everyday fears, but I hope it wouldn't. I hope I would just be happy in knowing that she's in heaven and all, but I don't know. It's rough, man. I hear you there. It's better to burn out than fade away the curtain. Yeah, that's right. Gotta love it when you're 7 foot tall barbarians will quote Def Leppard lyrics in cathedrals. Depends if she's a barber or a stylist. I don't know. She works in a haircut place. What's it called? Stadium Cuts. So it's like a guy's barber shop. It's always full of women that cut the hair. I don't know. Whatever the case may be, she does fine with it. There's not much you can do with my hair anyway. So sorry to hear that, Patrick. I didn't know that. Yeah. Second, barbers are trained in how to use razors. Apparently, they're the only ones who can give you a shave. Stylists can't. Yeah, they do. And even the barbers these days are just using like the disposable razors in the straight razor, so they're not really hitting you with a straight razor anymore. And all they do is the back of your neck. I don't think there's any place around here you can actually get a shave. If there is, I don't know where it is, and I wouldn't want another man shaving me anyway. I'll do it my dang self. I don't trust anyone else around the jugular or the carotid, My heart stopped twice. Sounds like a song lyric, too. But thank you, Matt. Yeah, life is quite different. After being hit by a car, I fear even less. See, these are things, once again, when they show you mortality, they can either build you up and make you realize I've been worried about the wrong things, or, it can put you in a further funk and further depression, whatever the case may be. I think my only message tonight would be, if you're constantly worried, if you're constantly nervous, if you're constantly fretting, it's, life is you're gonna go on. You're gonna go on, and think about what is giving you anxiety. Is it social media? I think social media is a lot of it. People put way too much stake in the thought of strangers. And here I am talking on YouTube to basically a bunch of strangers, right, about this sort of thing. But I think it's true. We put a lot of stock into what other people think about us. And now when you're on a world stage, basically, anyone can see what you're doing. You're either out there trying to get affirmation, or, being nondescript to not get any kind of, weird feedback or anything from people. I know this is kind of an esoteric subject here, but so when you go for the former out there and you're looking for affirmation, that leads to some pretty crushing blows when you don't get affirmed, right? When you get people who disagree with you vehemently, when they call you an idiot, when they call you a fool. I've dealt with that before. I don't deal with it anymore. I remove myself. So getting back to the whole what I was talking about, so if things are stressing you, get to the stressors and try to remove as much of the stressors as you can. Now, sometimes you got jobs and stuff, you can't get away from that. But, are you worried about bills? Are you worried a lot of bills, Well, they don't usually throw you in prison anymore, debtor's prison like they used to do in England back in the, a couple hundred years ago. It'll take care of itself. I hate the idea of being all laissez-faire about things. You got to pay your bills. You got to work to eat. It's even biblical. It's a biblical principle. But I'm just saying, like, if you worry constantly about your car, if you worry constantly about your mortgage, if you worry constantly about promotions at work and all that, man, that just it saps you. It really bothers it. And then you add on to that things like social media. Well, I'm gonna get on there. I'm gonna argue about politics. That's gonna be a often negative, often very confrontational kind of thing, and it doesn't change anything. It doesn't change anything. And I realized that a couple of years ago. It's like I'm out there yelling at the wind because people on the other side of the computer aren't going to change. Usually, you can't change the mind of anyone who's not directly in front of you. And even then, depending on how you're speaking, you're not changing anyone's mind. You're just defending your own point or trying to push your own point upon them. And that's no way to hear somebody. You know what I mean? So let's see. Dave having issues cause me anxiety issues. Yeah, that would cause anxiety. So I could worry about that, but I was like, well, if I can't get it fixed, I'll just not do the stream. But once again, I'm small fry, so it doesn't really matter. It's not like I'm losing anything. This is something I like to do for fun. Women in bikinis cut Dave's hair. Right? If only. They don't do that around here. The Heather Thomas effect, I know, right? I just wanted them to play the unknown stuntman in the background the whole time I'm in there. Thanks, Patrick. I'm just one man. I like steak. Steak is good. Steak puts me in a happy place. But are you worried about cow flatulence? That's something we're supposed to worry about. So when they try to equate food with the oncoming doom of the earth, once again, it's another tool of fear. So, what's funny is I was a vegetarian for about 7 years, back in my late or mid 20s to early 30s. So that was a whole nother can of worms, Steve. Let's see. I'm a collector of certain things. I get joy in that, and that's enough for me. See, it's incremental joy, right? As long as you aren't living in fear, you'll at least be at a state of equilibrium, right? Maybe not joy, but at least happiness or contentment. And then you get these little spikes every now and then of great joy. It could be in getting some sort of, like you say, a collecting item or an antiquity, or maybe it's seeing a pretty bird outside. This is not hyperbole. I will go out sometimes and take a deep breath of air, and man, it's so sweet. It's like a gift, the gift of God to me to breathe in, right, and taste that sweet air and have the mind to kind of realize where I am. And it's such an amazing thing. And so I'm going to worry, about things that really don't change anything and miss out on things like that. No. I am past that now. I am, God, it's almost like Zen Buddhist, right? But it's not. It's not. It's just realizing, man, removing yourself from a lot of what is you don't even know is causing you anxiety is a great thing, and I definitely am all about it. What is steak? Steak, the best part of the cow. Man, I ate we were out for dinner a couple months ago with the pastor. We went to, I think, Longhorn Steakhouse, which we never go out, but when we did, we met up with them, and I'm looking through the menu, and I was a little bit hungry. And I'm looking at the back. I want to see the biggest steak they got, because I don't eat it too often. And they have I think is it 24 ounces? Either 22 or 24 ounces, and prime rib or whatever. And it's like, I'm getting that. And he says, you're not going to get that. It's like, you watch me get that. So I got it. And, my wife gets like a 6-ounce steak or whatever like that. And they come out with this baked potato and this roll, and they bring out the little the log or whatever of bread. I had like a little slice of it, and they're like, "Aren't you having any more?" It's like, "Nope, I'm saving it for dinner." So they served a big old mashed potato with it, a big old baked potato with it, and broccoli. And I'm chewing on that a little bit, but then they put that steak in front of me, man, and I start going down, and I quit talking. I just start cutting and chewing, and man, oh man. I put it down, I ate the rind, then I went to work. I think I left one piece of broccoli or something on my plate. So they were pretty impressed. That was a happy moment, though, right? I found zen in eating. Prices are so high. I honestly can't remember what I has to. Oh, you got that right, brother, man. Well, actually, now it's cheaper to eat steak than eat eggs. That's almost half a joke. Dave is zen. I don't know about zen, but it's zen is where you find it, right? And equilibrium, I think, is a very important place to be. No manic highs, no ridiculous lows. Just try to find your even keel, if possible. If it upsets you to watch the news, don't watch the news. why do you really need to watch the news? We have this incessant need for information on things that don't pertain to us. If something is critical or is going to be detrimental to your life and health right away, it's probably going to be an emergency alert. You probably hear about it then. But and you have the internet. You can pick and choose what news you want to see. Let's see, Dave. Part of the reason why the 1970s TV show Kung Fu was so good to address issues you're talking about. 24. Yeah, man. I tell you what, revisit Kung Fu sometimes. And I'm not really big on the Western scenes. I don't really like too much Kane out there in America, but I love the stuff in the Shaolin Temple. Stuff's fascinating. I mean, it's of course easy for them to be that way because they have a subsidized form of life, right? But at the same token, man, some of the stuff's just so I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. Enlightening, right? Some of the stuff they say is very enlightening, and it's very strange, like something that's so well written coming from a TV show. But 24 ounce or 27 ounce Texas Roadhouse. Yeah, I think it was it Long? I'm pretty sure it was Longhorns we went to. But yeah, we're not even talking about comic books. We didn't get into FOMO here. My goodness gracious me. Say no to FOMO. That's what John's Comics with Kids is always on about every day. He's always got a new meme about that. But yeah, what's the new one now? So DC's gonna start getting hot because they're relaunching that nonsense. Give me a break. Oh man, does that mean Blue Beetle's gonna get hot all of a sudden because he's gonna have a movie coming out? Like what normie knows who he is? No one's going to Lloyd's of London and says, "Oh, does anyone here have the first episode or the first issue where Blue Beetle was seen?" No. But so yeah, find what makes you happy. Remove the things that don't. So simple. I have not watched TV. I haven't turned a television set on other than put like a DVD in years. What's the point? Even here's another one too for you sports fans out there. And I know Kaz is a big fan of sports. Does sports stress you out? It's supposed to be a getaway, right? It's supposed to be relaxing to you. And I felt this a little bit too, and I was a follower of sports. Does it stress you out? Do games stress you? Do you actually put stake in what someone else is doing out there? Does it affect you emotionally or physically if your team is not doing well or loses a big game or something? My goodness, think about that. Because we're even like conditioned to get stressed over things that give us joy. Booster Gold is getting some love. Well, maybe this will give some of the underappreciated characters, right, a little bit of shine, I suppose. Well, I guess when they put out the movie about Paste Pot Pete and his origins, those are going to start getting hot too, aren't they? Yeah, those FOMO memes are pretty funny to me. Oh, and before you ask, Grand, I'm drinking Teddy's strawberry and cream soda, and they had them on sale at the Dollar Tree. I walked in there last week, and I guess they're getting rid of all their stock because no one's really buying them but me, I guess. And they were down to a quarter each, so I bought their whole stock. Yes and no, I can't shut it off. Oh, I can shut it off. It's good, and shutting it off is good. And don't carry around with you the next day, and don't get your phone about it. It's a game. It's over. Oh well. I didn't have any bearing on the outcome whatsoever. Some people take it like, well, if I'm a big fan screaming at the television, it's going to change the outcome. I'm serious. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, right? People aren't like that. Oh, yes, there's people like that, man. People are brainwashed, man, by the things of the world. When I play video college football. But at least, you know what? I can understand that one, Patrick. At least you're having some sort of input on the outcome. You're doing something. Getting mad at a video game makes sense to me. Getting mad at a sports game, especially when you're not even in the stadium, that one doesn't make any sense. But once again, we've turned a joy, or what should be a joy, right? And I consider sports a distraction. But I mean, we've turned even something that's joyful for half of the audience, it's a stressful time. So weird, huh? I always chuckle when people talk about foosball and be like, you lost one position on the team, are you bench warmer? There's that we again, right? Yeah, we didn't lose anything. You didn't have nothing to do with it other than paying their payroll by buying all the crappy merchandise. If you recall the late 80s TV show, The New Monkeys, the old Monkeys said it was quite horrible. I don't think I ever saw that one, actually, because I used to watch the original back when I was a kid on reruns. It was on our TV. We didn't have but 2 or 3 stations, I think. Your DT series is so much fun. Yeah, I need to go do some more. I actually have some more drinks, including the tamarind drink, which I've never drank in my life. upstairs. I just need to shoot some more. What I usually do is get froggy, and then I'll sit up and shoot like 5 or 6 of them straight and just get it done because I can leave everything right where it is. And what I do is I'll change shirts so people don't think I'm like wearing the same clothes every day. That's me caring about the world, right? I don't watch politics and don't care to hear people will spat off imbecile comics about how back you. Yeah, I know. People are brainwashed to think that any party is working for them. Boy, I tell you what, man. If more people realize that, that DNR nonsense, get that out your head, man. Because that is like the biggest soap opera and dog and pony show that was ever created by man. I'm not saying don't be involved in your politics. Be very involved in your politics. But don't get so brand loyal, right, that all you see is Dem or Repub, right? That's all. Man, that is 2 sides of the same coin. And if you don't think so, just look at what gets passed or gets bandied about. The royal we. Yeah, I know. We did it. We did it. I remember there was an article. Here's how bad I was with sports, right? In high school, I would, bring a bag of chips or something. I wasn't a big eater back in high school. Or I'd eat my lunch real fast, and I'd go to the library and go to the periodicals and read the sports page, but not more specifically like the front page of sports. I would go back to the stats and start reading the stats at lunch, right? This is how, ate up with it I was. So, but there was, I used to collect newspaper clippings sometimes and hang them in my bedroom when I was a teenager, right? And one of them was the Orlando Magic. I was, a boy in Orlando or whatever. And we had lost like a playoff game or something like that. But the big headline was, we won. They had this big schmaltzy article about, team spirit, this and how everyone tried so hard. And it's like, it's a game. And we didn't win anything. You lost. You could say we lost is more like it, right? Because they didn't win at all. So someone had to lose. Everyone else but that one team lost. But, that's we're taught to put so much stake in this stuff. And why? What's our payoff? At least if, say you're collecting musical instruments or comic books or whatever, you're getting something out of it, right? Other than just a few minutes of joy. That's why I can't stand the idea of renting movies or going to the movies. I'd rather buy the movie, and then I can watch it as many times as I want. Sports like religion, it's bad. It's supposed to be pure entertainment. Foosball is of the devil. Foosball, man. Well, I used to work in bars. I know it's of the devil. I hate foosball. People would tear those tables up so bad. And, the more lit they get, the harder they pull on those things. And I love the sports fans that say we won Trinity. You're so right about that. I know it's like, all right, if we won, then we get to hate you because you're the reason that we lost. I mean, I didn't see you with no shoulder pads out there. I didn't see you taking a block on a defensive tackle. No. Change those shirts. Yeah, I got to change the shirts. Dave, you got a VFW hoodie? Yeah, I know. Well, it's so cold in my basement. Is the reason I actually have a couple layers on. I don't know if you can see it. Because, literally it's 24 degrees outside, and I'm in the basement, so it's quite cold out here. And no matter if you got the heat on or not. Let's see. But it's kind of a shameless plug, I guess. I don't have a whole lot of, hoodies or anything. They're just comfortable to wear. Shaq fan. Shaq is an interesting character. I tend to think, now I don't know him, I tend to think he's actually a pretty good guy. I remember back when I lived in Orlando when he was on the Magic, and a news reporter or, I think it was an off-duty news reporter or something, had a handy cam or something with her, and she had caught Shaq dropping off turkeys at Thanksgiving to the homeless shelters. And it was but he never made an announcement or told anybody about that. And I think that someone who do things like that is probably a decent guy, I mean, I once again, I don't look up to sports people or celebrities. I don't know. Every person's their own person. And just because, they're famous doesn't mean I give them the benefit of the doubt any more than I would anybody else. But he's always seemed like a pretty neutral, decent guy. A lot of people ragged on him playing. I mean, I don't know. He made the Magic good for a long time, or for at least a little while. I don't know. He seems kind of amiable, but once again, who knows? That's the public face he put on. Oh, yeah, when the Atlanta Magic was in the finals, I was in the field at Fort Campbell, Kentucky when that happened. Yeah, that was a while back. It's a good game room game. Yeah, I mean, that's what it's made for. It's made for drawing rooms and parlors, though, not the not the beer-soaked swill fest that they wind up being in, Fort Campbell Magic, yeah. I was actually a Atlanta Magic and Utah Jazz fan, so there's a mix, right? But so I never had a problem with Shaq. And I'd say, if I had to say anything, I'd say I guess I have a positive outlook on him, but I never met him. His father seemed like a decent guy, hardworking. I think he was a Marine, and I don't know. He seemed okay. He never seemed like he wanted to hurt anybody. Like on the basketball court, you get like I don't want to cast aspersions, but like the Charles Oakleys and the Bill Lambiers who would take cheap shots at you. Shaq was just big and strong. I don't think he was out to hurt anybody, but he just had to plow through guys. So I never saw him take those kind of shots. So he's probably a decent guy. And any man who would deliver turkeys to homeless people is okay in my book, right? As long as they weren't poisoned or rotten. Shaq, and he had some great commercials. Oh my gosh, before he even talked. When he talked a lot, it wasn't so good because he wasn't an actor. But when they just did like highlights of him and stuff, those were pretty cool. Shaq Attack, yeah. Oh man, people don't understand the hype. Like it's so lost. Like those times are so gone now. Like the Bo Jacksons and the Shaqs back then were just, the hype was unreal. Just having his face on a commercial would start like boost up stocks of like Nike or I think his Reebok was his, right? Would boost it up like 30% in like a week. Have you ever heard of Shaq ever doing anything controversial? Seems like a decent guy. Yeah, I've never heard of Shaq doing anything controversial, bad. Never been pulled over by the police. Drunken brawls that I recall. Everyone loves Charles Barkley, but he's got thrown out for violent altercations plenty of times in different places, right? So, is he a good guy? I don't know. He seems nice on TV, but everyone seems nice on TV, right? You can put a face on. Running to Shaq's like running a mountain. You got that right, man. That was a big man. People don't realize how big he was because he's surrounded by tall men, but you look at him side by side against everybody else, like contemporaries, like Alonzo Mourning. I think they're about the same height. But Shaq had like 60 pounds on him easy and solid pound. Most guys, when they get 7 foot tall, are pretty lanky, right? No. He he was filled out, man. That was a big man. Like he had the Wilt Chamberlain syndrome, right? He wasn't, and Wilt was a little bit lanky, but he was just a man among boys, size-wise, So Shaq is a deputy. Is he a deputy? You know who else was a deputy officer? Most people do not know this, and he was a 8-time world champion. I'll give you a couple seconds. Maybe someone can answer in the chat, but it was an athlete. I guess you can call it an athlete. And he was also a deputy sheriff. Or deputy officer. I don't know if he wasn't a sheriff, but 63 degrees. I'll take about 40 of those degrees if you want to send them on down my way, please. Good to see you, Bill, by the way. Oh, no one's answering me here. If people are furiously looking up on Google. Don't trust Google. Google is the other psyop I warned you about, by the way. Bill Russell. I'll say this, too. It wasn't like in any of the well-known sports. It was not in like basketball, baseball, football, anything like that. Or you ask my opinion on Bill Russell. It's hard. I'll tell you, though, it's hard to give opinions on like from anything less than like the early 80s, pre-ESPN and all that, because you really didn't hear about what people were doing that much. Like now, everything everyone does is broadcast everywhere, so we know all about it. Back then, a lot of that stuff was not broadcast everywhere. Remember when everyone thought it was a big deal Michael Jordan gambled away $1 million or something? That was like used to smear him or whatever for a long time, but it was like a secret thing. You never knew he was out there doing the Vegas thing. Bill Russell, Karl Malone. I got Karl Malone's rookie card somewhere. He was one of my favorite players. I don't know about him as a person. Once again, I never met him, but I've read some things like about him being kind of a deadbeat dad sometimes. He seems like a decent guy as far as like business ownership, and some of his hobbies seem fine, but I don't know if he was ditching kids or something when he was younger. Once again, I don't know. That's just the kind of stuff I had read articles. So he was a pretty dominant player, though. Him and John were my favorite too. So I missed the question. Oh, anyway, the question was, this was an 8-time world champion in a sport, and he was also a part-time deputy. I can't remember what state it was in. I want to say Nevada. And I'll give you another hint. His name was Big Ron. Pele? No, not Pele, but there's another guy who, man, I wonder how much he was he was worth. Doing paella commercials, right? Steven Seagal. Man, why is my feed constantly full of, Steven Seagal's the worst human being in history? I don't watch any of them. They are always in my feed. And, all his movies are an embarrassment to mankind. What is this? Leave the guy alone. He was married to Kelly LeBrock, for goodness sake. She was interesting. She turned into like a homesteader. Ron Artest is getting close. Okay, I'll quit keeping y'all suspense. It was actually Ronnie Coleman. Ronnie Coleman, 8-time Mr. Olympia. And what made him different is that no other weightlifter at that level, or even at the pro level, is working, right? You're making your money on sponsorships and deals and all that, and not so much on the wins, so that's not a whole lot of money there. But Ronnie Coleman was such a beast that he was technically holding down either a part or close to a full-time job as a sheriff's deputy while he's out there winning Mr. Olympias. Interesting. I don't know why I brought that up, but yeah. Asked earlier, Dave reviews 1998 movie Deep Rising. No, still haven't seen it yet. Oh, Bill Russell was a guest. Okay. Orange the Cat. Orange Cat was a jerk, but a friendly one. Seems called Eating Champion 32. They keep showing him with the big bellies, and he always did try to hide himself in the untucked shirts and all that. You were totally gonna say Ronnie Coleman, you swear? Well, good on you, because you would have got it then. Oh, yeah, Big Ron. But I always thought that was kind of fascinating about him. Now, whether he's a good guy, I don't know, because now here's something you got to ask yourself: was it okay for Ronnie Coleman to arrest anybody who's doing drugs? Illegal drugs? Because let me tell you something, he wasn't natty. But and Ron Howard was a good second guess. Yes, I did not know that about Ronnie Coleman. Yep, he's interesting. You know what? He's also a college. He has a college degree in accounting, of all things. Ronnie Coleman has a college degree in accounting. If you ever want to just laugh, if people eating makes you laugh, watch Ronnie Coleman prepare breakfast. Back when he was in his heyday. It's amazing that he's still alive. Because most bodybuilders are on the macros and the micros, man. They're pinching out, okay, I can have exactly this much of Nutra or Splenda, right? And they put this much on a whole omelet or whatever, and they're eating, the perfectly balanced meal. And here's Ronnie just cracking eggs, cracking all kinds of hash browns, dumping sauce all over. It's the most disgusting, meal that should just kill you. And there he is eating it during competition, He was something else. Lightweight, baby. Who else was deputy for a little while? Marshall Dew Applewhite. Well, old Opie Taylor tells about Heaven's Gate, kind of like about. Well, there it is again. I knew that was going to come along. I think all that just because there's a comment emoji, right? But wasn't there a green comment in the sky? I miss all the celestial things nowadays. I actually get up early, so I go to bed early. Hey, Kenneth, good to see you. Glad you could swing by. We were just talking about weightlifters, sports figures, and not living in fear. So, yeah, a lot of subjects going on tonight. But, yeah, interesting stuff. And Bill, where's your arch enemy? I haven't seen him. Last week his internet was down. And I didn't check to see if he messaged me this week. I have such a good audience. They usually message me if they can't come in. Let's see. Do I have anything? Nothing. Okay. Yes, green comment this week. Yeah, and I missed it. But I used to worry about stuff. Well, not worry about stuff, but I used to try to catch things like that. Including staying up or getting up in the middle of the night to go watch it. But now it's that's what my sleep. The comment won't be there. When I'm dead, maybe I can go flying through the cosmos, and maybe God will let me do that. I don't know. Maybe I can see him wherever. Maybe I'll be able to pull up Heaven's TV and watch anything celestial activity I want to. I don't know. But, yeah. So that was fun. That kind of took off in an unexpected direction after I got sound back. So that was cool. Let's see how long I've been on now. 45 minutes of actual audio. Amazing. But anyway, I hope everyone's having a swell week this week. Maybe a little warmer than ours. Matt, of course, is not. But hopefully the rest of you guys are. Drank the green Kool-Aid, and it should have been the red Kool-Aid. I like green better than red. if you're ever in a meeting of such, and you feel things are going south, and they start handing out drinks, I don't care what color they are, just don't drink them. just don't do it. Organized system. I keep my skirts clean and dedicated. American Patriot General Stockwell 18. Man, what was I watching? They had a clip of B.A. Baracus, and he was fighting somebody. I can't remember what it was. I think they were down in Mexico or Guatemala or something like that. And Papard, I can't remember if anyone else, and there was some girl with him. And they were in like this cantina or this bar, right? And I remember there was like bat wing doors or something on the front, but someone had nailed like a 2x4 or some wood across the front of the doors, right? The doors open in, but they nailed it. It was weird. But anyway, for the 80s, they had BA kind of come in there and break the door or pull the wood up the door, and then the door exploded inward. The physics just didn't work. It was great, though. Hope your volume works next Friday. Well, I know. Maybe I'll just plug this microphone in next Friday and not worry about it anymore. Green Comet, where's my purple Reeboks at? Reeboks. If you only had your old pumps, you probably make some money on those. You know what? Something else I looked up this week is I want to see how much Crystal Pepsi was going for. And that's about $20 a bottle for the reissued Crystal Pepsi back in like 2015 or 16. I knew I should have bought a couple cases of that. That's good speculation, right? How could I miss that? And the originals, who knows how much the originals are going for. In fact, I'm going to look it up right now. Let's see if there's any original Crystal Pepsi out there. Let's see. Close you. I am curious. Crystal Pepsi. Oh, I should have said original. Give me 1 second. That's a 30-year anniversary. I don't care about that. I need the original bottle. Yeah, all I'm seeing. Oh wait, there's an old round. They're selling an empty Crystal Pepsi bottle, 16 ounce. Looks like the glass bottle for $25 plus $13 in shipping. Take that, you comic speculators. They should, if they had any brains, they would release that like every 5 years. Make it like the McRib, you know? Yeah, open, empty. These things are selling for like $30 a bottle for empty bottles. It's almost like the Cristal of sodas. Original vintage clear cola, Crystal Pepsi glass bottle, 16 ounce, full with lid. $200 plus $16 in shipping. That's some pretty good scratch for something that probably cost $0.25 back then. It's got 11 washers too, so you know that sucker's gonna sell. Diet Crystal Pepsi. I didn't know they made diet. Fascinating. Here's another one. Empty Crystal Pepsi bottle expired in 2017 collectible. $45. It's a plastic. I think it's the reissued ones from 2015. Oh no, 2017. It's going to cost $50 with shipping. Not bad. I'm in the wrong line of work. Quit your jibba jabba, you ain't. Good old P.A. Baracus. Let's see. How much for just for the crystal? I don't know. It'd be cheaper to buy the crystal. Honestly, you can buy lab created rubies cheaper than that. I was just talking to someone about Tab. I can't believe they made that until 20. Wow, I know. Remember from Austin Powers? That's what he was getting drunk on was Tabs. The A-Team show would not get high ratings today, but that show was pure gold. Oh, yeah, I know. Nobody cares that they were the worst struts in history. Oh, man. They were worse than Stormtroopers, weren't they? But and that was the Special Forces team for crimes they didn't commit. Good old George Papard didn't want to be there, and wow. Good old 80s camp. Yeah, I sure wouldn't go over today, though. Where's the werewolf? Yeah, he was on He was on Simon's stream earlier. The original Star Wars Stormtroopers. You get that right. Well, it was a family-friendly show, so no one could really die, right? It was like G.I. Joe. I think, was there one episode of G.I. Joe, or maybe it was the movie, when there was a shot of blood? Like, I think someone got hit in the arm or something and some blood came out. And it was like the biggest uproar. Nowadays, man, they like dismembering each other in cartoons. Society slides. Crystal meth is cheaper than crystal Pepsi. Isn't that disgusting, but true? Oh, Dave's a killer and Dave's a mess. Slapshot. I haven't seen Slapshot in, oh my gosh. I don't even remember how long it's been. Methinks that, I think it was Slapshot. Methinks the vanilla is about ready. It is. I should go get one of those. I have them. They're past the 18th month mark now, and come July 23rd, that'll be 2 years that I put that vanilla away. So it should be très magnifique. I love the match game. Match game was sassy. Yeah, it was the G.I. Joe cartoon. Yeah, it was, I don't remember if there was like some public uproar, but it was like, we were all talking about it. Like this kids, it was a big deal, you know? You didn't see it. And those guys shot entire armies at each other, and no one ever got hit. So very Stormtrooper syndrome too. But yeah, A-Team, no one got hurt. You know, Fall Guy, no one really got hurt, and everyone just got beat up and turned in at the end. Dukes of Hazzard, no one got shot. And if they did, it was just winged, you know. Just walk it off, you know how it is. But it was simpler times. But it was funny, it was like so much bloodshed back in the 50s, man, and like gun smoke. But they were getting dropped left and right there. And then things got kind of saccharine for a couple of decades. It was interesting. That's what happens when Clint Eastwood leaves the Western TV. The body count just drops suddenly. And Happy in Love Woman is the most desperate thing, especially if she is the beast. Remember that one? I'm trying to. Belong to get me off serious subjects and start talking about nostalgia. Dukes of Hazzard 2, they would jump cars and cars would flip over, but everyone would be just fine. I know, no such thing as hydrostatic damage or... Heck, they never even bent the frame of the General Lee. Never bent a rim as far as I remember, but it's been a long time since I've seen it. It's been since the 80s. Uncle Jesse stayed good, and I want to do that theme song one of these days when I get the band all together. I'm working on it. I am putting some feelers out there for some of the people who want to do cover. I want to do a whole set of nothing but TV theme songs. So I'm going to start learning the Simon theme on the guitar here shortly. I just bought a Transformers 1 comic book. I've been looking for that book for years. Oh, the 1 of 4? Or the miniseries, excuse me, or the official Volume 1. Or was it Volume 2 on Transformers? I can't remember. I think it was Volume 1, right? I need to go to bed. Good night, Kaz. Good to see you, brother. Glad you could stop in. Be well. Be safe. And not Dave is me. Dave is in Kaz. That's also his name. So, hope I didn't let the genie out of the bottle there. Forgive me, Dave. But is it just a comic book, Matt, or is it more than meets the eye? Transformers is an interesting property. On its face, you don't see how it ever sold. But then again, if you look at like a lot of what caught on, G.I. Joe made sense, right? But like a lot of what caught on back then just made zero sense. Why? Transformers? Really? What was so... The toys were clunky and horrible looking. And if you ever watched the cartoon, which I loved as a kid, you know, but if you watch it, man, those stories are bad. And man, a lot of the animation was crummy. And man, the music is just overpowering and constantly blaring. Here lies Bug Cannon if you didn't go to a place for him to go, the High Chaparral. See, now we're talking about classic quotes. I used Dying Ain't Much of a Living Boy the other day, actually, at work. And if you ever want to see the creator of the Transformers, basically entire history, in comics at least, and actually in the toys, look no further than Bob Budiansky, the interview I did about 2 years ago on the channel. And you can learn a little bit about that. Because guess what? For those of you who don't know, Transformers had basically no story and almost no names for the characters until they were shipped off to Marvel. Marvel actually created most of the mythos and names of at least the Generation 1 Transformers. Definitely more than meets the eye. I found an old collector that has a nice collection in high grade. Transformer came with the first 4 issues, complete set. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't mind get that little 4-parter. Maybe slab. That would probably be a slab happy one, just for nostalgia's sake, you know. And I only have like 3 of them, so 3 slabs that is. I do need to send those X Factor and X-Men ones that I was sent from Jackson, because those are pretty sweet, and they're in really good shape too, actually. And someone sent me a Punisher Volume 2 Issue 1 a couple years back, and it's in seriously good shape. I think it was actually Unruly Simeon, who sent it to me. I think it's newsstand too, as I recall. I have to go look at it now. Hey Jesse, what's going on? I'm gonna grab it real quick because I can't remember. I think it's newsstand. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. Had to run off to the comic room. Oh, you know what? I got the green screen on, so a lot of this cover probably won't show up. Let's see. I actually have 3 copies of issue 1. This one's just kind of just looking at it, probably a 6, maybe 7 at most. I don't remember where I got this one. But I guess, yeah, I think it was Newsstand, the one he sent me. And this is my original, I think, that I've had since, like, 89, I think, or so. I have a comic shop. It was like a grail for me back then, which was really expensive back then for me to get, but I had to get it. And then I got, I actually won these cases in a contest from, who was it? War, what was his, I can't remember the channel, it's been so long. War something or other. Anyway, I won the Gator case, but I put the Punisher that he got me because it's such a good grade, I think, in here. So that's the newsstand one he sent me, which I thought was pretty cool because I didn't have a newsstand. This one, I mean, has a couple of ticks in it, and I think it's a little bit of foxing up here. But the corners look really sharp. Cuts are good. The staples are good. It's pretty good looking. I bet this would pull a 9 pretty easily. Maybe 8.5, 9, somewhere. But this is a gift from Wayne. I'm pretty sure this is Wayne that sent this to me. I always know as Unruly Simeon. Let's see. I don't remember that seat being on the bridge. Well, it is. Right now when the maintenance crew's on the bridge, that's the seat that's there. I need to get a new gaming chair, but this one works just fine. I don't bother putting the green blanket over it anymore. I used to put the green blanket on it. You wouldn't see it, but has holes in it. It's probably from the old cat. Jerk cats bring Jay back. Since he left the show, he's been spending too much time with my wife. Well, he'd be making more videos. We know what kind of videos, the good ones. Dave, earlier I was watching Strange News of the Week 39, Mysterious Universe UFOs. Paranormal with Christina Gomez. Asked her to get you on her stream for Secrets of the Bible episode. Well, if she wants to. She wants to get a nobody YouTuber on with her. I don't know what her stream's about, but I'll talk about anything, so. That comic book looks like Pepsi Clear. Now, let's admit it. After I mentioned it right here in the stream, how many people got on eBay to look? Did anyone else but me get on there? Or if you're not getting on now, are you getting on after the show? And are you two looking on the lookout? I guarantee it. If they release Crystal Pepsi again, I'm going to go buy a couple of cases of it as speculation. Did you ever hear Brian Stavely? He covers September 11th conspiracies. He went far down the rabbit hole. Did he go? I don't know if he ever found his way out. I don't know. You can get pretty deep in this stuff, man. And, I don't talk about that very much. And I don't really pay much attention to that anymore because sometimes knowledge doesn't really help you. you learn just, how deep that rabbit hole goes. And, some of it, of course, is fiction. But enough of it makes sense and seems real enough to me that, maybe you better not dwell on that all the time. Because that's one of those other things I talk about. It keeps you in a negative, fearful situation. And, man, if people understood the machinations that their own governments and positions of power are working against them with, they'd be petrified. And maybe they need that. I don't know. But I've taken a big step back from that. But, yeah, there's rabbit holes, man. And I'll tell you, if there's one thing I can look up, and this is not controversial, you can look it up yourself. 2012, the Smith-Mundt Act was repealed. For those who don't know what the Smith-Mundt Act is, I suggest you research it and learn what it means. But I'll give you the long and short of it. The news and the government is now legally allowed to give Americans propaganda. It used to be illegal. It is now 100% legal. So that's why any news outlet, left-leaning, right-leaning, whatever, is not to be trusted. Any mainstream one. I have way more confidence in random YouTubers and living rooms than I do than any big news organization. So just keep that in mind. But anyway, end of public service message there. Dave, you get to talk about Bale outside the box. Yeah, we don't talk about him in this house because it didn't go over so well in Israel when they were talking about him. For those of you who've never read the Old Testament, I suggest you do. He was not a popular guy with God. So, and I say guy, but an idol. Was Crystal Pepsi ever popular? I remember a big ad campaign in the 90s, but the drink went away quick. Yeah, it didn't. I mean, it was, I'm trying to remember who their spokesperson was for it. They had a few of them. But, it was all the rage for a little while, but so is Fruitopia. And where are they? They're gone too. So, I don't know. I don't think it's just, once again, it's nostalgia. But Crystal Pepsi makes sense, right? It's a rare commodity because that was, especially with Crystal Pepsi or any kind of soft drink, if you're collecting drinks, right? People buy drinks and they drink them. Nobody speculates on drinks unless they know the drink is going away. So defined, original, unopened bottles of that makes sense to me as a collector, even though you got to worry about how well the bottle's going to hold together. Is the container going to last for another century or whatever? What will happen will the liquid inside start to crystallize? Does that devalue what you have? I don't know. But so that it makes sense as a collectible to me. It's a rarity, and the fact of what it was makes it even more rarity. Say you collect watches or clocks, whatever, right? A watch or a clock that's a quality watch will still be a quality watch 100 years from now, right? People buy those to hold on to them a while, but people don't buy consumables like that to hold on to. So there's going to be so few of them out there, and it just makes good sense. Chris Pepsi is popular with their target demographic, Pennsylvanians with goats. All we get these days is propaganda. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible, people. Don't. What's the word? Don't stay asleep. That's all I can say. And if you put your trust in a news organization, or if you have blind faith in a government that is legally allowed to tell you what they want to tell you, you might want to think about what you're putting your faith in. I know people from Pennsylvania with goats. Good people. Good folks. And goat tastes good, too, by the way. I know, let's see, Bao gets a bad rap. Well, depends who you ask about that. Get off my lawn, you crazy kids! Problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about it. You might, Crystal Pepsi in an American-style antique shop, might find. I mean, maybe. It's like, you don't really see people doing videos of them finding those things at yard sales. Like, you might find cool comics or cards at a yard sale, but probably not Crystal Pepsi, because once again, unless it got stuck in a pantry and forgotten about for 20 years, And then a lot of times people would just throw it out. Oh, what's this old soda going to do, Goodbye. I'm trying to remember. I remember drinking it. I don't remember if it tasted different. If you didn't look at it, it might not taste any different than regular Pepsi. Maybe it's just regular Pepsi without the food coloring, because all soda has food coloring. It's clear inherently by nature. By nature. I mean, the very nature of the soda is it's clear. They add color. We are so conditioned by color, too, in things. Coffee color. There was a ketchup brand. I don't remember. Heinz put it out or whatever it was 10 years ago, I think it was. And they made the ketchup purple, and it bombed. It bombed. They were trying to get a new target demographic. People do not want to eat a non-red ketchup. people don't want to drink a cola, not just soda, but it's different. That's not brown in color. Like when they see Pepsi and Coke, they want a brown colored soda. We are so Pavlovian in that kind of response, you know. If Gino had a name, that would be what would it be, and what would you call it to his face if you were to face him in all his glory? What would you ask him if you had just one question? Well, that's a good question. Well, everyone knows my name, I would hope, but you would be right to be afraid, though, to be in front of me, because I might play you a bad guitar chord. All right, questions. Pondering. Let the preponderance of ponderations please continue. I found Amazing Spider-Man #1 at a yard sale. Was it a collector's edition? A reprint? Do you remember Jolt Cola? Yes, I remember Jolt. Very popular with the trucker crowd. That and Slim, or what was it? Slim Fast, not Slim Fast, but Yellow Jackets, like the little diet pills. Jolt Cola. That and Surge. Surge tried to make inroads too on the Mountain Dew crowd. Surge! And the Gen X crowd. They really tried to push that so hard. It didn't take off. Now here's something else. Here's a question. You know, I thought about this week, believe it or not, Matt. Say you were at a garage sale and you found a literal ASM #1, right? Would you tell the person? A couple years ago, I probably wouldn't have told the person. Now, I think I'd have to. Well, I don't think I have to. I have to tell her. I'm supposed to be a Christian. I cannot try to rob my fellow man. So I'd be like, ma'am, I will happily buy this for $1, but let me tell you something. You're sitting on a couple grand right here. And if you really want, if you don't want to fool with it, I'll try to sell it for you, and I'll give you a half or whatever, but I'd have to tell. So those days of me finding something cool at a yard sale, then walking off with 50 cents just aren't going to happen anymore. How about Moxie? or Brill Cream? We sound like a Jimmy Buffett song here all of a sudden. Oh, Dave, did you get into Blade Runner? It was the 40th anniversary this past week. I've only seen it like once or twice. I don't remember. I think one of the problems is I saw it when I was too young and it didn't really make any sense to me. And I really haven't revisited it but once since then. It was okay. Ridley Scott's kind of hit or miss. Cool aesthetic. In any movie with Sting, I guess bears watching once, but I don't know. I haven't seen the remake either, so Matt really did fine on ASN #1 at the yard sale. He has a video of it. I think it rated 0.5. Oh, is that where you found just the cover or whatever? Oh, that's a good copy of ASM. I paid $1 for it. I was honest about it. I ended up giving him $50 a book, and he was selling for $1. Awesome stuff. I don't think I saw that video. Very good of you. It comes out in the wash, man. I mean, I would hate to go through life knowing that I did that to somebody, you know? I really would. Bill came back with a 0.5 grade. I mean, still, it's ASM 1 for $50. I don't care if it's all you got the UPC down there and maybe a little spider head from the top cover. It's ASM 1. Not too many people can say they have it, you know. Now, I think, did one of the people in our community, did they get just the cover of ASM 1 or something? Didn't they get that, or was it FF1? Because they'll just grade the cover. That's all they had was the cover of it. Came back like a 2 or something. It's no Punisher, but it'll do, I suppose. I've been thinking that's nothing. If I ever do get back into collect, I need to finish off my Conan run, finish off the Punisher Volume 2 run, and then I wouldn't mind getting checking out the entire Byrne Fantastic Four run, because I hear it was really good. I was never really into Fantastic Four when I was collecting, so I'd like to go back and read some of those stories. I've read like 1 or 2 of them, and it was pretty decent, but I seen Blade Runner when it came out, rewatched it in the 90s, didn't get into it. I wanted to love it, just didn't speak to me, thought it was boring. Yeah, I mean, I don't remember it grabbing me. Cyberpunk's such a weird genre to like, you know. Everyone says you're supposed to love Brazil, and it's okay, I guess. I did like the whole, or the steampunk, not so much cyberpunk, excuse me, wrong thing. I did like the aesthetic in 12 Monkeys. I thought that was a really good, perfect cyberpunk-like aesthetic there, or I keep saying steampunk, but, Persian, 1,000 nations of the Persian Empire will descend upon you. Our heroes are blotted the Stelios, then we will fight in the shade. Good old Thermopylae and things, right? Rants, I only ever watched Blade Runner once. I didn't care for it. So, yeah, I guess I'm not alone. It's just like one of the movies that you're supposed to automatically say it was great. It was, mind-bending. It was genre-defining. I'm rereading the Tomb of Dracula run. It's so well written. I didn't have too much. There was a crossover or two with Dracula and Thor, which I thought was really good. It was interesting. Dracula was a oft-misused character in comics because he could have been so good. He's like a perfect comic character, like a powerful Dracula, though, Tomb of Dracula was a great series. He should be like they should keep his power level strong, like say Spider-Man levels, not like that. Make him also give him his mesmerism and everything else, and the flight forms and all that. But I think he should have been utilized more, honestly. Now I know, of course, they had the comics code and all that, and they couldn't use him for a long time in the mainstream stuff. But I feel like I'm a very small minority. Let's see. Well, see, we're not alone, people. It's amazing what you find out on the internet, that you are not alone. Some things you're just supposed to love by default, and I just never been about that. Like, for instance, since we're all talking, everyone else here is comic book guys, I have never liked Spider-Man. You're just supposed to love Spider-Man as a comic book collector. I've never cared for the book. I never really collected them, and it kind of irked me that he had so many different books out. So his fans got to read all kinds of stuff. And me, I like the loopy stuff. I didn't really like big name stuff as much, other than maybe Captain America. Even he only had one book, except for some, the occasional specials and crossovers. But, I guess if you include Avengers, I didn't really like Avengers that much either. But so, yeah, he's supposed to like Spider-Man. I never liked the character at all. And that's kind of sacrilege in the comic book community, Granted, I heard from so many people how great Blade Runner was. It was boring to me. Yeah. Spider-Man doesn't collect you either, so I guess we're even. Yeah, that's true. Thanks a lot, Peter, or Ben Riley, or whoever is. I don't know. Who's. Is Peter Parker still alive, or is he. How many times has he been cloned, or has he been. Is he a girl now? I don't know what's going on with Spider-Man anymore. I don't really care, but. It was. Because, everyone collected Spider-Man in my day. My friends, the few comic friends that I had, and there was only like one or two in any given school. I don't care what revisionist history tells you nowadays. They all love Spider-Man, right? And he was one of the few socially acceptable comic book heroes that you could like wear a Spider-Man shirt and not get beat up or picked on, because he was on TV before that, and people knew he was on was Electric Company, was he on, or Sesame Street? I can't remember where he would make guest appearances there, Scooby-Doo appearances. So he had some, he had made some inroads. But try wearing a Namor shirt or something back then. Good luck, man. You're gonna get pounded. I do like Spider-Man, but his books have always been expensive, so I never collected him. Always ridiculously expensive, so fast. Which didn't make much sense to me because they printed more of his books. So you think they wouldn't be quite as valuable? Interesting. I don't know. Dave, do you recall in the 2000s when Batman fought Dracula or a vampire? It was in the cartoon. No. Don't remember that. Batman has fought Dracula, though, I think, in the comics. He's fought everybody. Predator, Alien. Batman fights everybody. Spider-Man is one of my favorite characters. Spider-Man and Conan are 1A, 1B. I'm not sure which is which. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'll tell you, the character has a rich history. He's got a great well of stuff to read. He's had some of the most famous artists ever working on his books. So there's nothing wrong with being a Spider-Man fan. I just never liked him, and people always thought it was odd, But Conan. Conan wasn't a popular book when I was collecting at all. I mean, he didn't do anything extraordinary, and he really wasn't tied in with the regular Marvel Universe that much, other than the occasional crossover. So, and by the time, the 80s rolled around, he didn't have the biggest names working on him. So, he was almost like an afterthought for a lot of that, But I love Conan books. Books and comics. I really like Spidey, but I respect your opinion. Well, thank you. See, we're all friends here. I mean, people get bent out of shape. That's another thing people get bent out of shape with, is people don't agree with them about anything, You like ZZ Top? You suck. They suck. I just like them. I didn't want to make you mad. I personally am not a ZZ Top fan, but I got no problem with them. They're great musicians. It's just not my kind of, or they don't make music that I care for. And I've noticed that when I made some reviews, as people in the chat know, I just gave an honest opinion. It wasn't even a bad one, but people get bent out of shape about it. Like, you're supposed to like everything that you like. There's 8 billion people out there. There's going to be differences of opinion. People got to learn to get over it, you know? And like I said, I mean, there's a lot to love about Spidey because he has such a rich history, and like he has a rather poignant story. I mean, the whole radioactive spider thing's kind of hokey, but look at the time he was written. But I mean, that's most comic book characters too, by the way. So I mean, there's a lot to love there. There's great collectibles. You have basically never-ending content to collect. If you're a huge Sleepwalker fan, you're a little bit limited. You have, 32 books, whatever to choose from, and not much else. So, let's see, Gina presents the top 10 things people say you should like this, but it's really overrated. That could be interesting. Hey, Dave, you got a nasty turn of my mind, my friend. I'll think about that here right now. I love the 1960s Spider-Man cartoon. I used to watch it in the afternoon before my older brother got home from school before kindergarten. Had a great secret agent theme, too, you know. Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. But let's see. Top 10 things people say they should like, but is really overrated. Let me think of one. Star Wars. There's one that get me ostracized. I don't really watch Star Wars anymore. I'm supposed to like them. I'm not just talking about the new ones either. The old ones, I got them all on DVD, but I haven't popped them in the player in years. I got no real desire to. And I was a huge fan as a kid. Huge fan. But I rewatched. What did I rewatch recently? I can't remember. I say recently, within about 5 years ago, and I just wasn't into it, man. So that'll probably be one, and that's going to get. I'm losing all my geek cred real quick now. Now, people got to understand, like, culturally, it's a lot different than it used to be. Like, the events, we think of things as events today as, breaking ticket sales and all records and all that. That's fine, and it kind of makes sense, but depending on where you come from, the event was a lot different. So let's take E.T., for example, right? E.T. was a huge hit. I saw it as a kid. My hometown had like one movie theater with like one screen. So if you wanted to go see a new blockbuster movie that was popular, you were waiting in line sometimes for several shows until the theater cleared out enough that more people could get in there. It was an event. They had lines out the door and waiting for hours sometimes for weeks. It was a huge cultural event. Toys everywhere and candies. Reese's Pieces sales were going crazy. You know how it was. People were going phone home everywhere, you know. I myself had E.T. sheets, an E.T. Toy or whatever like that. And it was a big cultural phenomenon. Now people just get hyped. But it's not really changing anything. And if you want to go see the new MCU movie, whatever, it's on 16 screens at your local Cineplex. It's playing 6 times a day. You know, depending on the town you're coming from, if you want to see Star Wars, we did the same thing with Star Wars. I saw Empire Strikes Back in the theater and Return of the Jedi. I was too young to see Star Wars, right? I felt bad for my mom, right? We had to wait in that line for I don't know how long. You know, people were so hyped to even get in there. It was interesting. And you didn't have phones to play on, so you were just standing in line talking to people, getting yourself hyped up. It was an amazing, amazing time and event. So, with the new movies, you don't really have that. It's just, I don't know. At least I don't think so. But getting back to it, I'd say Star Wars would be one. So, let's see. The first 3 Star Wars are epic. Since that, it is hit or miss. One thing everyone likes, but I think is overrated, is gravity. I don't like being held down. Until you go floating off into the vacuum of space, then it's terrible. I swear I remember waiting for E.T. at the movie theater. We had to wait for a whole showing before we get in. It was... And your town might not have been as small as mine. I grew up in Sebring, Florida. Tiny little town back then. It was something. But I think everyone in that town, and probably from the surrounding towns, which were even smaller than ours, came to the theater to see it. And I can remember to this day what a deal it was. E.T. pencils, Star Wars pencils, and toys and erasers at school. You know, we couldn't afford Star Wars clothing and all that, but or at least my family couldn't. But you know, you see those shirts everywhere. for Halloween. One year I wanted as Boba Fett, but there was Star Wars costumes everywhere. The terminology came into our everyday lexicon. Father took on a whole new meaning. People started using the word father. So huge events, and now it's just, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's like that anymore. It doesn't really change anything. It just creates ticket sales. I don't know. And the movie E.T. was okay at best. Definitely not my favorite. I have not seen. I thought it was Reese's Pieces. It was an E.T. But I haven't seen it since the 80s, so I couldn't tell you. I remember I had an ex-girlfriend that was really boring, and that was back in the 2000s. So that's the closest I've come to watching it. I'll say this, too. Spielberg movies. I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark last night. I have not seen that movie since the 80s either. And I kind of liked the Indiana Jones movies. It was okay. I didn't see the big great hoopla about it. It was a well put together movie, but it was also a very jumpy movie. I didn't realize just how choppy that movie kind of is. I mean, there is an overall central theme, but man, that just goes from one spot to the next with almost nothing in between. So it's a little bit choppy, and it's not as good as I remembered it. Reese's Pieces. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He loved the trailer, Reese's Pieces. Reese's Pieces got incredibly popular for a while, and no one really eats those that much. And they're okay. They're okay candy. I like them. But, so yeah, I might even go further to say Spielberg movies are not that incredible, right? There's no real Spielberg movie. Maybe I'd watch Jaws again. I haven't seen that in quite a while, but there's none out there I have a hankering to watch. Man, I'm jaded or something. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, what are y'all guys' opinion on Spielberg movies? Are they everything they're supposed to be? I went to sleep during, 8mm? I was just like, this is awful. I thought it was anyway. But, yeah, so not the big deal. So I guess you could say the same with Lucas. So there's 1 and 2. Lucas and Spielberg films don't do it for me. How about that? Now, the first, I would definitely much prefer to watch the original trilogy again rather than anything new. That's for daggone sure. But and then if you want to go further into that top 10, I guess number 3 I'd say Return of the Jedi was far superior to Star Wars, other than the Ewoks. If you take some, or even the whole Endor thing or whatever, but if you take some of the actual footage out, which is usually detrimental to the movie, I think it might have been a better movie. They were telling too many stories at once. And the Ewoks were obviously just a product placement to sell toys for the Lucas machine. But the story itself was cool and better, and there was more to it. There was an actual emotional feeling when you had Luke and Darth across from each other all for a lot of the movie, right? There was a bond there, and watching the kind of redemption arc of Vader was cool, right? And it meant something, and he did not see it coming. He sure didn't see it coming. And back then, villains weren't really nuanced that much, right? And we didn't see any nuance in Vader in the first 2 movies, by the way. He was just pure evil, personified, right? And we saw some difference in him. We're so kind of spoiled on today's modern take on villains, where there's no one's really bad, they're all just different, or they have a bad ideology, but they're not bad inherently, and they're flawed characters or whatever. But back then, we expected bad guys to be bad, and that's how he's built for 2 movies. And all of a sudden, we get a redemption arc, which is kind of cool. And the Emperor was awesome. So, let's see. Jaws still not on classic. Yep, hard to mess with Jaws. Probably the best movie he ever did, to be honest with you. It was one of the first big ones he ever did. Just before E.T. hit, I cornered the market on all M&M's in Phoenix. Boy, did I feel silly. It's like getting all the pumpkin futures right in November. Whoops. Wrong candy. That's before he didn't have peanut M&M's, right? Or peanut butter M&M's. Why does he want to get people so worked up for a cause that very few care about? I care more about affordable housing, healthcare, and clean water. Oh, I don't know. What cause are we talking about? Did I miss a piece of chat? Let's see. Oh, okay. It goes back to people trying to live or trying to get you to live in fear. I called Dave Scott out on that. If he got into the info, if he got the info he wanted, what would he do with it? Yeah, he's like a dog chase car. And here's the thing: what can you do about it? People are always like, "We need to change. You need to change the system." And how? Ask them that. How? Well, I'm going to vote. Are you? Are you going to vote your way out of this? How do you think you got into this? It's too late for that. You do not understand the systems that are in place out there. Once again, rabbit hole, but it's a great point. You taste that car, and what's it really get you? Think about it. What would a dog do if he caught the car, other than bite the bumper, right? Empire Strikes Back was by far the best movie in the Star Wars. As overall film, certainly. It had everything. Everything about that movie was great. From the puppetry and the film, the cinematics itself were really good. I probably just watched that movie too many times, so I have very little desire to watch it again. But it had everything. It had a little romantic subplot, and you had, which was cool for a blockbuster, which is very different too, was it had an unhappy ending, which was kind of odd, right? On my music. And plus it had Billy D. Williams. What have we here? Right. You are in Phoenix. Do you like to shop at Draw 2 Comics? I used to shop there when I lived closer. Schindler's List was a very well done movie by Spielberg. I think I've only seen bits and pieces of it. I never watched the whole thing. It's one of those movies you're supposed to go watch, right? I just never did. Of course, I'm in Phoenix. We've had this discussion before. I'm a native. I go binge on comics, but I don't regularly go to any comic book shops. Oh, my gosh. He's too busy buying out slabs off every other corner of the internet to go to shops. It's beneath him now. I make the comics come to me. Memories like mine, Gran. So that's what, 3 things. So Return of the Jedi I think is better than Star Wars. 4. I think you're supposed to love it. I don't. Well, sports, we've already talked about that, so I guess you can say that's 4. Sports, I can just add on to that. Sports, news, TV, movies. Those aren't my things. Don't care about them. Mean absolutely nothing to me. And social media means very little to me. So we'll call that 4, I guess. Most modern entertainment, I guess you can package as that, right? Let's see. Another thing I'm supposed to like and I don't care for. Well, up here it's... Well, no, that's not really true. I do like it. So, like I was going to say hunting, right? I'm supposed to be a huge a hunter up here. And I can take or leave it. It honestly... I enjoy sitting out in the woods quietly as much as the actual hunt. I am not a big hunter. I hunt every now and then, but not a big deal to me at all. So I guess if you go by location and things I'm supposed to like hunting. It's never been my bag. It's okay. I got no problem with it, and I do it every now and then, but it's not something I want to spend a lot of time doing. I got friends and family, that's what they live for, man, when it's hunting season. Stands going up here, feeders getting filled there, cameras getting checked daily over here. It's a full-time job, man. People from Phoenix are great people. I haven't been to Phoenix since 2015. Watched the Pirates beat the Diamondbacks. Wayland Utani building better worlds. You know, that's good. I'm a Pirates fan too, so I can't be mad about that, Maddie. Mom raised me a Pirates fan when there were no D-backs, and a Steelers fan. Ugh. Those teams? Come on now. What's with the black and gold love? Would you like the Penguins too? So let's see. 5. Lord of the Rings is boring. At least the books. Oh my gosh, those are hard to get through. I'm trying. I read dense books, but man, oh man, they're just not fun. I recently finished Fellowship of the Ring. I said about 6 months ago, and I haven't picked up. I've got through, I think, the first third of Two Towers, and I kind of wandered off of it and haven't come back to it. And it's not like me not finish books. So, yeah, there's another one. Probably supposed to love Lord of the Rings, and I don't. And I'll tell you something else, too. That's another set of movies that, while watchable, at least the trilogy, that Hobbit was, what a waste of time. Glad I saw it all for free, those. The original ones, outside of Fellowship of the Ring, I don't think were all that good. Man, I'm about to get shot down big time here, right? But I don't think they're all that good. They are like soap operas with sword fights. Anyway, nice cinematography, but the Lord of the Rings stuff is not really my cup of tea. You know, I enjoy watching like lore videos on Lord of the Rings. I kind of like learning about the rich history of the Middle Earth, but I didn't think the story was that lyrical or exciting or fun, you know? So you fell asleep at Lord of the Rings? Well, my bladder almost exploded during Return of the King, but that's a whole nother story. Matt, I just sent you a picture of one of the things hanging on my office wall. That must be the GIMP mask again. There's another thing I could talk about. I think Samuel L. Jackson's only been good in 2 to 3 movies at best. There's another one, and people seem to love him for whatever reason. He was excellent in Pulp Fiction. He's never come close to being that good again. He was okay in Jackie Brown. He wasn't too bad in that one. And it's been a while since I've seen it, but I think he was okay in Glass. Or not Glass, but Unbreakable. But granted, it's probably been... I haven't seen it since it was in the theater originally, so I don't remember it too. I remember him being okay in that. But so there's what, number 5 or 6? I think he's been terrible in everything else. I don't know how he keeps getting roles, to be honest with you. People have this, like, love of this guy. I'm like, I don't get it. Let's see. What Lord of the Rings books are great. I just read them in the 5th, 6th grade and have read them over half a dozen times since. Yeah, I know. I mean, and you'd probably be the more typical answer. People tend to love them, obviously. I'm not getting into them. And I'll tell you something else. I love fantasy books. I gave up on the Wheel of Time series, too. I got like 6 or 7 books into it. I'm not a quitter, usually. I'm like, I can't take this anymore. It's like work to read. I don't want to work when I'm reading. I love dense books. I have reread Shogun and Taipan. I don't know how many times. Innumerable times. I love dense, big books. Those just weren't doing it for me at all. So, strange. It's strange what... things that I don't care for that most people do. Let's see. What else? And y'all can feel free to add into this, by the way. I don't want to be the only bad guy. Bill, that is a really cool display. I think I'm coming to Phoenix in October. I might have to buy you a coffee. Oh, buy me a coffee too. We need it just to keep warm up here. What else? Huh. It's hard when I don't have a whole lot of time to think about it. It's kind of hard, but maybe you get better, honest answers like that. Date this past week was also the anniversary of the Columbia Space Shuttle disaster. On February 1st, 2003, Space Shuttle Columbia broke up, killing all. Didn't they just have a thing on the Challenger shuttle too? Wasn't that just come up recently? I remember seeing a picture. Was it last week? I think on the internet somewhere. It just popped up. Like an article or something. Because we were watching the shuttle. I was living in Sebring at the time, growing up, when that happened. We always, back then, see, for those who didn't grow up in Florida, don't know this, or wouldn't know this, but every time that they would launch a shuttle, like all the schools, and you could see it for hundreds of miles away, we would go outside and watch the shuttles launch. It was a big deal in Florida. I tried to buy Dave coffee. He told me no. Well, he wouldn't even come see me. You were 40 minutes, not even 40 minutes away. There he is. Good to see you finally, Darren. Hope you and Dee are doing well. Saw your foot earlier today on Simon's channel. He's a victim of carnivorous lunar activities. You mad lycanthrope, you. Let's see. So another thing. What am I at? 5 or 6 now? It's somewhere around there. Well, I guess you could say this. As far as like rock music and classic rock music, there's 3 bands that I could care less about or don't care for that are very well esteemed. And ZZ Top, Lynyrd Skynyrd, and AC/DC. None of those do I have any albums of. None of them do I want any albums of. I realize they are all incredibly talented musicians. Now, it's not even saying that is a backhanded compliment. I can tell by the music that it's so well crafted, but it's just not. It's never spoken to me. Van Halen's another one. Never spoke to me, and a lot of people love them, and I just never got it. So I guess that's number 5 or 6. Was that number 6 now? Okay. I had a headache, so went for a nap. Feel better. Well, I'm glad you did. Hope you weren't bit by the funnel web spider. That spider can kill you in 8 seconds just by looking at you. I like the last 2. I don't really like ZZ Top. Yeah, like I said, there's nothing wrong with them. I mean, I listen to them and I try. I want to get into them, but I just can't. I've tried, and it's not just one song either. It's multiples. I've tried. And though, honestly, the guitar solo on Freebird's pretty good. About the only part of the song I like. Same thing with Led Zeppelin. I'm not really a Led Zeppelin guy either. So, strange, right? X's Top was okay at best. They were famous because of the beards. Yeah. It was their thing, right? I mean, everyone has their thing. Dave like rolling his own cigarettes like Bob Marley. Yeah, I do like a little Calypso every now and then, but yeah, I'm so straight edge, it's not even funny. I like drinking, I'd take a skip day 2 days a week of coffee, because I don't like to get addicted to that, so. And I only drink like a cup and a half every day anyway. They warned you not to go at the time. Yep. So there, I guess, is number 6. There's a couple of very popular bands that everyone's supposed to like, who I don't care for as bands. Nothing against any of them personally, as musicians. It's okay not to like music, but people who are very talented musicians, right? I have a feeling that Led Zeppelin would be great while on drugs. It might be. I think that's part of the reason I don't like a lot of those bands anymore, because I'm just not there on it anymore. And you can include this. There's a couple songs that I don't really, from bands that they don't bother me, but I never want to hear again in my life. I never want to hear Hotel California again in my life. It's a good song. Don't ever want to hear it again. I don't want to hear like Steppenwolf, Born to Be Wild. I don't want to hear George Thorogood, Bad to the Bone. Never want to hear that again in my life. Lots of songs like that, Doesn't make them bad, just I don't ever want to hear them again. Let's see. There are not many things I'd die on a hill for. Waiting on round 2 here. He must have been coming up against the text limit. Have you ever heard Mr. Red, White, and Blue by Coffee Anderson? I just heard it for the first time and I enjoyed it. No, I don't think I know that one. I'll cue it up. Is that like Mr. Blue Sky from ELO? We'll just do it right here from YouTube. I don't even know who that is, by the way. I don't know who Coffee Anderson is, but we'll find out. Eventually. Not right now, of course, but... Oops. I have this thing over here playing. Where did the screen go? Dave is not being sensitive. He's using his privilege. That's right. I'm throwing it out there. I'll check that song out. Okay, so... let's see. What else? Something else that a lot of people think is great, and I don't think much of. Vacation destinations. Like, I have never cared in the slightest about going to, like, Hawaii or London or, the Swiss Alps. None of that has ever appealed to me. Never wanted. I don't think I'd go for free. I don't think it'd be worth the hassle, honestly. So, I guess you can couple that with I'm not much of a vacationer. Like, I very, very rarely take time off. And I get kind of antsy on vacations. I don't know. I just feel like I got nothing to do. Even though you're busy doing stuff, it's like I just feel like I'm not doing anything productive. So, but yeah, I can handle a vacation. I'd rather stay home on most of my vacations and get things done around the house or find something to do locally. But the whole idea of uprooting yourself to go travel, this doesn't appeal to me. Now, granted, I used to travel for a living, so I think I got kind of burnt out on it. But, yeah, I think that would probably be number 7. Don't want to go to any of the main vacation. And even if I do vacation and want to travel, I do not want to go to very popular travel destinations. I want to go somewhere interesting. I would love to go to, like, it wouldn't be safe for them or me to go to, like, rural China. wander around some Chinese villages, right? Go see some the Highlands of Scotland somewhere, not Glasgow. Glasgow. I don't want to see that. It's a city. I can see a city right here. Yeah, they eat different stuff. Who cares? That's not that different, right? I wouldn't mind going to Australia. That's such a big. Australia reminds me a lot of America. The fact there's so much different geography out there and different ecosystems out there. I think it'd be kind of interesting. So Darren, you get a point down there. Switzerland is great. Avoid London. Yeah. If I ever went to England, where I'd like to go is I can't remember the name of the city, but in the American Werewolf of London, the movie, or An American Werewolf of London, the little town where David Naughton and all that got attacked at the very beginning. I'd like to go to that little town, like a little fishing village town, but I have no desire to go to like Liverpool or London and nothing like that. A lot of people would want to go to see those places. Paris, I don't want to go within 100 miles of Paris, See, Hawaii's amazing. Next to the airport was way too many homeless, but it is a great place to visit. And most people who go seem to like it. Now, once again, I grew up in Florida, and we had beaches if we wanted to go to them. They weren't that far away. Had kind of similar weather, maybe it's not as nice as Hawaii, of course, but so it wouldn't be a completely alien thing to me, like someone who was stuck out in Idaho or Iowa or Minnesota their entire life might want to go see Hawaii, how people in the better tropics live, but for me, I just never wanted to go. I didn't even volunteer to go there in the Army. I volunteered to go like Alaska and places like that. I agree, popular spots never appealed to me. Inspired by the rich people paying big money to work on a cattle ranch for a couple of weeks. I'm trying to organize the same thing with my West Indian coal mines. That's right, baby. No one ever wants to come here that much. Deep fried Mars bars in Scotland. Is that what they eat there? Well, they like their marzipan, huh? Dave in Baghdad, stranger in a strange land. I've been to Baghdad. Of course, it was under our occupational control, so I'm not sure what actual Baghdad is like when they were really off the base, but little village is called Crickenham. I think it'd be interesting to go see some of the more backwoods places, as it were, of like Scotland. That's always interests me, and maybe some of I guess Wales might be nice, right? Over in England, whatever. But let's see, what's that, Bill? 9 years, some people would never work in a coal mine. Those guys are real men that work hard. Yeah, they wouldn't like it. My neighbor's a coal miner, too. I actually thought about getting on for a little while, but I'm getting too old for that nonsense. My back it's too easily hurt nowadays. I think I'm done working outside. But yeah, it's men that work down there. Man who is one of the guys on his team lost an arm about 2 years ago. It's no joke down there. And yeah, at least you're getting paid nowadays. But man, the old days, it was just a lot of work for company script. That's a whole other story in itself. But so that's what, number 6 or 7? I think it's 7, right? So I got to think of 3 more things before I'm allowed to get off of here. I'm losing my voice. I can feel it going. Dave, the one spot I wish I had thought of volunteering to go was Antarctica. I mean, I always wanted to go on cold weather exercises. I didn't like spending roasting in tents. I'd rather freeze in a tent with other guys. At least you can warm up a little bit, but plus the cold weather gear looks awesome, right? Arctic weather gear. Okay, so let's see. Dave detests physical labor. Oh no, I love physical labor. I love getting my hands dirty. That's why I do all the work in my house myself and my own auto repairs and old yard work. I love that sort of thing. But physical labor is not treating my body very well anymore. You hurt yourself enough times and it tends to, accumulate on you. Most of my hobbies don't involve physical labor anymore, though, so there is that to be said. So maybe there is some partial truth in that nowadays. But I do enjoy it, and I do enjoy getting my hands dirty and working outside. Working in the coal mines, love the work, love the guys. But my coworkers looked old by the time they were 50, and so mean looked old. I had a college degree and decided to teach for health reasons. Yeah, we can hear you as well. Yeah, I don't mean to. This microphone's pretty sensitive, and I have to keep it pretty close to me. Sorry about that, but I can feel my voice getting a little gravelly. So, yeah, man. I mean, you spend 20, 25 years kind of in those mines, and I always standing up straight, and it wears you out, man. It's hard physical labor and not the best working environment. And, you're still breathing coal dust in all the time. And just, it's hard. It's hard, man, what people do for a living. There, let me clap for my poor throat here. Oh, I don't think I have that off. Let's see if this is desktop. How about now? Huh. That's weird. Oh, why would it? I don't have the deck plugged in. I'm sitting here pushing the num. Why am I not hearing nothing? Because the deck's not plugged in. Because it wasn't working before. I'm all over it tonight. It must be getting loopy. All right, so I got to think at least two more things quickly here. Here's another thing that most people care about and I could care less about is the vehicles. I don't care what I drive, like brand or, I tend to like trucks nowadays just because it's useful. Because I like to go to like the home stores and all that, or moving furniture, whatever, It's just handy. But I have no care whatsoever about what I'm driving. I don't think about what I'm driving. The only thing I would like one of these days to have like a project car, like an old Monte Carlo or something. But yeah, I'm not big on that. I'm going to have a head out. It was great to hang out with my peeps again. Have a great weekend. You too, Bill. Thanks again, as always, for coming out. If you see Crystal Pepsi on the shelf, make sure to stock up and make your fortune. I forgot to tell you, J. Vernon McGee, American ordained Presbyterian minister, pastor, Bible teacher, theologian, and radio minister through the Bible radio program, Bible Bus. Tell you. This is. Oh, you talking about the program itself, or have a good week? Okay, bye. Yeah, two. So I guess that was one. Vehicles, yeah, don't care. I don't care what my vehicles look like. Most of the time they're dirty. I wash my vehicles like once a year, just out of shame, I guess, eventually. But don't care. Never have. Never will. Doesn't mean a thing to me. So I think most people do kind of care what they're driving around in. And, I'd much rather have a paid-for vehicle than a nice-looking vehicle. You know what I mean? The truck I drive is a 2007. I tend to take care of my vehicles. I don't let them get all beat up or whatever that, but did you ever listen to J. Vernon McGee? No, never have. Can't say that I have. So maybe I'll check them out. Dave, clothes. Clothes is just like the car. I could care less. I shop. My wife and I are... If I had to say we were in a financial bracket, I'd say upper middle class. Okay, we both have good jobs. She makes really good money compared to me. And I am what you might call frugal to the extreme. Like, I bring lunches to work every day. Except for Fridays, I eat lunch out with a friend. That's just the social aspect, but it pains me to do so. I'd rather just spend my dollar and eat my lunch at work, right? I shop at Goodwill for my clothes. I have for years. I could care less about fashion, any kind of names. I don't wear jewelry, nothing like that. And if I do have a watch, it's just like a fossil, nothing fancy. So that's all like the clothes. So I could care less about that sort of thing. And of course, you can see my hair. I don't care about my hair that much either. I just do what's comfortable. You know what I mean? So yeah, I won't count that as one. And I had just thought of another one too, and then I got sidetracked with that. Maybe it'll come back to me. But yeah, but I don't care about those kind of things. That really, a lot of people will say that. I just don't. I really don't, and I never really have. I think a lot of that came because we were so poor growing up, and we couldn't afford any of that name brand stuff, and it was kind of it ostracizes you a little bit. You get made fun of quite a bit because I didn't have. I want to say a sophomore when I got my first pair of Nikes. And it might have been... Then my parents... I think the year before I might have bought myself a pair of... What were they called? Asics. I bought myself a pair of Asics the year before. But the next year, my parents bought me a pair of Nikes. And they were like the... miscut ones or something like that. They were a pair of Nikes. They were ugly as sin, right? But So I never had any of that stuff growing up. Like even my backpacks, I never had a JanSport. Like I always had like North Western Territory, some unnamed brand. If there had been a generic chapter keeper, I would have had that. So I've never put any stock in it ever since then. So I could care less about name brand clothes of any kind. And I honestly, I don't even like any branding on any of my clothes or vehicles. I prefer not to give them free advertising. It means nothing to me. Like, for instance, a lot of Harley riders, I own a Harley. I don't own a Harley shirt, hat, nothing paraphernalia-wise I own of Harley. Why would I walk around as a billboard for them? I don't understand that whole mentality. But, Dave, you like Presbyterians? I don't know. Some of my best friends are Presbyterians. I guess it's not the famous saying. Actually, I don't know if I even know any Presbyterians. If it is, they're closet Presbyterians, so don't tell me. I don't see why I would have a problem with them. I fast during lunch, don't want to waste money on bad food, and Goodwill is my favorite place to shop for clothes. And you find some cool, unique clothes at Goodwill. And a lot of it's new. Or Salvation Army. They still have tags on it. People turn their nose up at that. We have a really nice one that got built, like literally a plaza away from where I work. So I'm there on a regular. I go there to buy ties. I like to collect ties a little bit, and I get them for $1.50 as opposed to $20. Let's see. Fasting during lunch probably makes a lot more sense, and you're more productive probably if you do. I'm a pretty good lunch guy, but I cook. I can make my lunch at work. They kind of tease me about it because I'm like the one guy who does it. I even have a rice cooker at work. A lot of times I cook rice and make a decent-sized lunch. But so, yeah, vehicle and clothes means nothing to me. And I would much, much, much rather save that money on food and going out and buy myself something like a nice guitar that I'll have for years and it can enjoy, or a comic book key or something like that. Food is food. Just fill yourself up with it, Yeah, let's see. I always bring mine in my lunch, rarely eat out, and when I work during the day. And plus, it's so expensive. It's so bloody expensive. It's not only expensive, but it eats up some of your lunchtime to travel to and from the restaurant every day, waiting on your food. And you wind up scarfing your food as fast as you can to get back for work. And I get a whole lunch hour, right? I'd rather sit back, have my meal ready to go at noon, and get a whole hour of watching YouTube while I'm eating or whatever. Making my calls. I like it. I'm like you, Dave. I make a nice living, far, far from rich, solid middle class, but don't see the need to spend a lot of money on clothes when I can shop and go. It's the only thing that's never appealed to me. Like, I never understood, like, designer clothes, period, but, like, designer handbags and all that. Are you trying to impress somebody by going broke to buy a purse that does the same thing as a satchel does that you get for $12 at Circle K? I don't know. I'm not wired like that, I guess. I found so many clothes with tags still on. Yeah, you find all kinds of cool stuff. And same thing at like garage sales. I don't really go to garage sales much anymore. We got enough stuff at the house. We don't need any more. But yeah, you'd find all kinds of stuff that was never worn. And that's, people get to buying for that endorphin rush, and then they buy stuff they don't need. That's a whole nother live stream. I'm going to tell you. I buy top quality speakers because I'm on my feet a lot. If for work and stuff, you should always buy quality tools, quality footwear, clothing, stuff that's not going to wear out on you, stuff that's not going to cause foot injury, that sort of thing. Especially if you stand a lot. I stood a lot over the years and my feet are wrecked. Now I can't stand up for more than like 20 minutes and my feet are already hurting me. But I need to go to Goodwill here. I'd rather shop at estate sales than into department store. Yeah, and plus it's more like an adventure because you have no idea. Like if you go to a, whatever store, JCPenney, Ross, or an actual clothing store, you kind of have an idea of what you're looking for when you go in there, right? But you go to like the Goodwills and the estate sales, the garage sales, you don't know what's out there. So it's like an adventure. It's its own little mini game, right? See what you can find. And then you find something that looks really cool. Oh, this is so cool. Is it going to fit? Because you only have one choice, right? And so it's like huge highs and lows when you're shopping those kind of places. Makes it kind of an adventure. Darren, good sneakers are worth their weight in gold. That's one item I will spend money on. He said, Bloody Dave. English accent, please. Bloody well right. You're right. Bloody well right. Got a bloody right to say. And that sounded awful. Almost like I'm trying to do Aussie. Not bloody. I need to get my Lower Uncton voice going on here. Or if I come from Stoke-on-Trent. Yeah, I have a couple of pairs of Brooks. Rubbish bollocks to this, which I have said when quitting a task or job that is too difficult and negative, and that's a load of old bollocks. It gives you a touch of class, too, when you say something like that and people hear you, rather than just a typical curse, right? Brooks are great shoes. I've run a few marathons in Brooks, and my feet don't hurt afterwards. I ran a lot in my mid-20s through my mid-30s. And I've worn most shoes. I'd say my Adidas lasted the longest. And the most comfortable in the short term were probably the New Balance, be my guess. But I thought Nikes are trash running shoes and never wanted to wear them. I'm English, Grin. We wouldn't be that nice when quitting a job. You throw your fish and chips right in their face and storm out of there, right? But, all right, let me think of 9, because where my voice goes at. I've already been doing this for like 2 hours. So, let's see. Or, no, 10, that was 9. So, 10. 10. One thing that most people like and thinks that I should like, what I don't like. Smartphones. I do not like smartphones. I have a smartphone, and I use it so little that I shouldn't have one. Honestly, I have... Let me see here. I'm trying to see the apps that I actually use. I have 1, 2... I have 3 apps that I use outside of like the calculator and flashlight, not counting that. It kind of comes with the phone. 3 apps that I put on my phone that I use. One's Facebook, 2's Instagram, and that's usually just for like checking a break or work or whatever, so everyone messages me. That's all that I use those for, is basically messenger services. And the third one is the haircut app that I have to use to check in, because you have to check in there before. So I use that once a month. I have 3 apps on my smartphone. I don't like smartphones. I don't like working on phones. I hate like looking up information on phones. I never, since I've had smartphones, I don't think I've ever used Siri or Bixby or whatever their version of it is. I wait till I get on a computer. I like working on a computer. I think it's so much more convenient. I cannot understand why people want to do so much work on a phone when it's so inconvenient. Maybe my hands are too big for it, or what it is. I don't like it. Never have, and I don't think I ever will. I don't play any games on them anymore. I used to play one game, but I stopped playing that game like over a year ago. So I have very little reason to even have a cell phone other than as a phone. So I would not mind whatsoever going back to a flip phone, or at least a phone with a keyboard on it for easier texting. So yeah, that'd probably be my number 10. I don't like smartphones, and I spend so little time on it. I don't know where my log is. Let's see. See, most people know where this is originally. I don't know where my time log is, or whatever, how much time you spent on your phone is. Hey, Simon, what's going on? What are you doing, man? Coming to us from the future. I'm getting ready to wrap it up here. I just went over the 10 things that most people like that I don't like. I'm trying to see how much time I spent on my phone last week. I don't know where it's at even. I get those reports and I pay no attention to it whatsoever. Is it settings? Home screen loss. I don't know where things on phones because I don't use them. Battery and device care. Let's see if there's anything here. Hi again, Simon. Oh, anyway, yeah, I caught a little bit of the show earlier. I couldn't watch too much of it, but Nike running shoes have a premium price for crap shoes. I'm not just about to. Oh, yeah, of course. Accessibility? Date and time. I have no idea what this is. Device care? Oh, screen time. There we go. Let's see if I can see it. Okay. Do they have a weekly? Okay, so this is obviously conflated, because I think does it turn it off when your app is not, which is still running? It says I have 29 minutes of daily average screen time, but there's no way I have that much. But I think I have my apps, I leave those two open, and they take account against me. But that's for an entire week. So, but yeah, there ain't no way that I talk that much or use my phone that much. I don't enjoy it. So there it is. So there's my 10 things that it's a good subject, Rand. That would probably require its own stream, and it probably should have. But yeah, 10 things that most people like and think I should like, and I don't. So there it is. So hot down in Perth today. Well, of course it is. Y'all in the dead of summer down there. Right now it's 24 degrees. I don't know what that is in C. Probably 0 C. But yeah, stay cool down there if it's possible. If you have to shelter underneath a giant wallaby or something, please do so. Be safe out there. And watch out for the funnel web spiders. And the mulgas. But on that note, before my voice completely gives out, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this show. I come on my phone watching streams. Yeah, most people use their phones. Like, if I'm watching a stream of somebody else, I try to get on the computer if I can, you know. But, like, if I'm out, say, shopping or something, or whatever, I don't get on my phone to watch anything. Just, even traveling, like, very rarely am I a passenger. But if I'm a passenger, I really don't look at my phone for like movies or shows like that. I always bring a book with me. So hotter than usual. Well, be cooler than usual, man. Go find a nice shady spot to hang into, or maybe a nice cool billabong that's not crocodile infested to swim in, and cool yourself, man. Cool yourself. Pretend you're still in jolly old England, where it's nice and temperate most of the time, right? So anyway, I want to thank everyone for watching tonight, and I do apologize again for the technical difficulties, which I still have no idea why they showed up, but they were there, and we got past them eventually after a few minutes of desperate tinkering. But yes, thank you for being patient, and thank you for being the greatest chat in live stream history. You guys are the best, and the whole reason I am here on Friday nights. So thank you again for that, and stay tuned for hopefully a show again next week. And maybe we'll get James back in here, too, to help with the entertaining duties here one of these days. So, yes, everyone have a great week, great weekend. Be safe out there. Be kind to each other. What was that old Springer said? Be kind to each other. Be kind to yourself and each other. Yeah, do that. So, for you people down in Australia or Australia, stay cool, brothers. Stay cool. Remember, God loves you guys. And I love you guys, all right? So y'all have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.